We're going to bring him up now. He is a very funny man who performs here in New York and LA, and he wrote a book about the history of the comic strip live. Put your hands together for Jeffrey Gurian.
William Stevenson, everybody. Come on, keep it going for William Stevenson. Yeah, wow, you guys are fantastic. I've been watching the show from backstage, and you guys are really great. Give yourselves a hand for coming out tonight. Because the truth is that you're the most important people here. We tried this once without an audience. It fucking sucked. Anyway, I know what you're thinking. If Phil Spector fucked Elton John, which could actually happen, by the way. And people think it's funny if you know what you look like. Want to know what you look like? Ask somebody else to describe you. But if you really want to know what you look like, ask a little kid to describe you. Trust me, you want to fucking kill yourself. I asked this little kid to describe me. He looked at me for a minute. He's like, if Phil Spector fucked Elton John. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I'm like, you're a little kid. How do you know Phil Spector and Elton John? He's like, Google, bitch. Then he took it one step further. He said, you look like you wandered away from a rock concert in 1968. During a particularly intense acid trip. I was like, that's amazing, kid, you're only 1 year off. It was 1969, it was during the Woodstock Festival. How could you possibly have known that? And he didn't answer me, and that's when I realized I had just made him up for the purpose of that joke. Well, anyway, it feels good to be back on stage again because I had gone back to my original job for a while. Writing suicide notes for depressed people with writer's block. Yeah, then lately when I get bored, just for fun, and you should try this because it's really a lot of fun, I've been going into Chinese restaurants, I ask for the manager, and I complain that my fortune didn't come true. And that goes over really big, about as well as it did with you people. Only less enthusiastic. If that's even possible. Now, Chinese is an interesting language, not particularly sexy or romantic. You know, sometimes you'll hear a woman say they like a guy with an Italian accent, or maybe a French accent, maybe a Spanish accent. You will never hear a woman say, when he speaks to me in that Chinese accent, I can't control myself. I get moist. From that Chinese accent. Is it too early for moist? It's about 11 o'clock. You could say moist, right? Yeah. Speaking of sex, I read in the paper today that sex makes you smart. And the more you think about sex, the smarter you get. Well, I can't wait to call my parents and tell them how proud they should be. They raised a fucking genius. Well, it's true. When you think about it, they say that men think about sex every 7 seconds. What I want to know is, what are they wasting the other 6 seconds on? Probably thinking about their last sexual thought. And speaking of sex, I had an epiphany today. That's the name of the black chick that lives next door to me. You can laugh. You know that somewhere in the world there's a black woman named Epiphany. Because black women have the most amazing, beautiful, and creative names. It's the truth. Like just last week, I met this hot black chick. She told me her name was Diaria. I'm like, Diaria? That is a really pretty name. Then she wrote it out for me. I'm like, that's fucking diarrhea, bitch. You better go home and sue your family. Diaria, it even has the H in it. What's your sister's name? Toiletta? People have to have some responsibility when they name their children. It's unbelievable. We have people here from out of town. I'm sure everyone asked that, but I wasn't here before. Anybody from foreign countries?
Yeah.
Where are you from? That is out of town. Down under. Right? It sounds like a euphemism for your genitals. What a weird place to be from. I always ask if people travel because I admire people who travel. Because I have ADD, so traveling is very difficult for me. Whenever I travel, I'm always lost. And invariably, so I'm always asking people for directions, and invariably I get a guy who says, I know where that is. You gotta go south for about 3 miles, and then you gotta go east for about 1.5 miles. I'm like, what the fuck? I look like I carry a compass? Who did you mistake me for, Magellan? You know? Why don't you just tell me the longitude and latitude, and I'll try and navigate by the stars? Because something I said must have misled you into thinking that I was a sea captain. You know? I don't know north and south, I know left and right. Between you and I always thought north was the way you're facing. If I'm going this way, then that's north. If I'm going this way, then that's north. And the one thing I know is that south is always behind me. Needless to say, I don't travel a lot. But you know, as people, we come from all over the world, but we share similar traits in common. And it's true. Think about it. As people, we tend to exaggerate. Now think about it. How many times have you gotten that call from a friend who tells you he was almost killed, and he wasn't even hurt? Almost killed. He has the balls to tell you he was almost killed. He wasn't even hurt. Like, if you're going to tell people you're almost killed, at least have the decency to be severely injured. Huh? Or else it diminishes the severity of the story. It's like saying, I almost had sex with this chick last night. Really? How far did you get? Well, I called her and she wasn't home. But if she had been home, I would have totally nailed her. Which is an incredibly romantic expression, used mostly in Australia, that had to be created by a guy. And you know how I know that? Because only a guy would be fucked up enough to compare the act of having sex with a woman to hammering a nail into a piece of wood. You'll never hear 2 women use that expression. You will never hear one girl say to another, how was your date last night? Great. Did he nail you? You never hear that. And if you do hear that, change who you're hanging out with. 'Cause it's a bad crowd. Let me leave you on this. Weirdest thing happened to me today. I got a postcard in the mail. A postcard. Can you believe that? That's still a valid form of communication for 2013? A postcard? Who the fuck is sending postcards in 2013? What was your carrier pigeon sick? You know? Sending someone a postcard is like saying, I want to write to you, but not that much. Well, think about it. When's the last time you got an important postcard? Right? You never see a guy running home all excited. Like, where you going? I just got this postcard from my girlfriend and I can't wait to read it. Well, fucking turn it over. It's all right there. It's not even in an envelope. The postman already read it. Everybody in the post office read it. You're the last fucking guy to see it. That's why they rarely send government secrets on a postcard. Postcards are usually mean anyway. All they say is, wish you were here. Well, if you wish I was there next time, fucking invite me. Anyway, I'm Jeffrey Gurian. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much.